there are a few things that I'd like to actually start off with. Now, first off, this was a game that a lot of people didn't because they couldn't watch. And by that, I mean Sportsnet on TV. If you were on Shaw, I believe, it was just crapping out, and it was terrible. It would stop up, there was no audio, and it would flash with a black screen and a white screen and basketball highlights too. It was really weird, and overall it was just not working. That's why Sportsnet sent out the tweet that was like, hey guys, we're actually not streaming the game on TV because we got technical difficulties, but you can still listen to it on Sportsnet 650, which is what I believe a lot of people were doing. I wasn't, because I have a stream on the computer. It's an NHL Game Center live stream, which is why I was able to watch this game, and honestly, I was very, very satisfied. This was the Vancouver Canucks' first game in a long time. It was their first home game in a long time, the kickoff of a 6-game homestand, and this was important because the Vancouver Canucks started things off with a point. We grabbed ourselves an overtime loss, which is 1 point in the standings, and overall, despite the result being what it was, I'm very happy with the game that we saw. Now, the first period, this was not a good period. Terrible. And it wasn't terrible because the Canucks played poorly. It was terrible because it was boring. This was boring. And the Vancouver Canucks didn't get a shot on goal until like 5 minutes left until the period ended. And it was just like lobbed onto the net from the point, and the fans like let out a really loud cheer because of it. Eventually they got like 3 shots in the span of like a minute, and they ended off the period down in the shot column 7-5. It was 0-0 at the time though, and everybody was like, oh boy, we're in for a long night, aren't we? Because Pettersson's out, and the Canucks can't do anything without Pettersson, right? Or so we thought. Because the game started off in the second period. That's when the real game actually started. Arizona got on the board, and it was not a good one to start things off. It was a minute into the period, and it was Richard Panik. It was from Vinny Hinostroza and Brad Richardson. Yeah, you remember Richardson? Well, he got himself an assist here. But a minute later, Sven Baertschi gets himself on the board. It was a great effort by him. Chris Tanev gets himself the assist, and this one was awesome because Tanev was able to pickpocket a pass on the rush and send the breakout pass all the way to Baertschi, who walks right in, and he straight up like windmills his way right through Chychrun. This is the classic L1 right stick over to the right side, and it was a totally fantastic move, and then he snipes it right past Darcy Kemper, who I'm going to give props to. He played very well in this game. But Baertschi, his 5th of the year, incredible. It's 1-1. But then Nick Cousins gets himself a goal halfway through the second period, and everybody is kind of like, oh man, this is a rough one. The Canucks aren't necessarily playing all too well. It's kind of wishy-washy here and there, but with a minute left, or like 30 seconds left in the third period, the game gets tied once again. And this time, it is the hockey god, Adam Gaudette. He gets himself his 3rd on the year, and everybody was hype about this because Gaudette got sent down to the Utica Comets because people were coming back. Like, Sutter was back, Beagle was back, we had no room for Gaudette on the roster. So we sent him down to Utica, got himself 3 points. It was fantastic what he was doing down there. And then he gets called back up because a forward is out, Levo is out, Pettersson is out, and we're like, yeah, okay, we'll put him on with Jake Virtanen and Nikolai Goldolbin. That is a great pairing, by the way. And he gets himself a goal here. Roussel. Antoine Roussel was the guy who got himself his 14th assist on the year on this one. Can you believe that Roussel is at 14 assists? That's absolutely nuts. Like, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't have expected Roussel to get 14 assists halfway through the year. But Adam Gaudette gets himself a juicy, juicy rebound. It's shot over from the point, and Gaudette is there to stuff in the Oreos. Stuffed crust. All that stuffing right into the net. It's 2-2 going into the third period, and this is where things picked up. And it was incredible to watch. Oh man, the BBB line established itself in this third period as the dominant force out there on the ice. And I'm gonna be honest here, the power play, we didn't get anything, but like, it was really good. The puck movement was good, and I liked the chances that they were able to get. Nikolai Goldolbin especially, my gosh. I'm gonna talk about him a little bit later, but I think it's kind of interesting to see that the Canucks can actually pull a game like this off without Pettersson. Because everybody knows that Pettersson is basically the handle that turns the gears. He gets the entire machine going. He's basically the core of Vancouver offense. So the fact that we were actually able to get a whole bunch of chances that I was like, man, that should have gone in, without Pettersson in the lineup, incredible. I loved it. And the BBB line was great in this one, especially in that third period. My goodness. The Arizona Coyotes got themselves a goal from Connor Garland halfway through the third period. Connor Garland, he was incredible in the QMJHL. Gets himself a goal from Galchenyuk. Galchenyuk, fantastic move. And the Coyotes, they stole the puck inside the Canucks zone. It was a bad play. But Sven Baertschi from Troy Stetcher, he gets himself his 6th on the year, his 2nd of the game, with 5 minutes left in the third period. And it was awesome because, you know, he just came back from the injury, and everybody was on his side, and it was a BBB line special. But the BBB line kept on delivering, because after that Baertschi goal was scored, it was basically like the last 5 minutes of the entire period. They were all played in the Coyotes zone. No matter what the line was out there for the Canucks, they were dominating, and it was crazy to see the amount of saves that Darcy Kuemper was able to make. Alas, nothing actually went through, but it was great to see, and even without Pettersson, it was still very entertaining. Like, 1,000 times more entertaining than that first period was. Actually, it would probably still be the same, because 0, which was the entertainment level of the first period, is still 0 multiplied by anything. Scratch that. Going into the overtime, a lot of people were really happy to see Baertschi get out there, but ultimately Richard Panik comes right in and he shoots it, snipes it off the post and in. Oh boy. I didn't expect Markstrom to give that one up, if I'm going to be honest, but overall it's a 4-3 win for the Arizona Coyotes in overtime, and the Canucks get themselves a pity point here. I'm okay with it. Like, if I'm going to be honest, I'm good with that, because we saw that this Canucks team without Pettersson can still do stuff. This didn't look like the same team that we saw against Toronto during the World Juniors gold medal game. I wasn't watching the Toronto game, but overall, the Canucks have themselves an interesting spot with this point, and it's nice to see. That's basically it. I mean, Markstrom, he was pretty good for most of it. Kuemper was great, but there are a few other things I wanted to talk about. First off, the Cousins goal. That was terrible. Bar none. Terrible. Like, I could not believe that that goal was actually counted, and the Vancouver Canucks challenged it for goaltender interference, which they did that because I guess you can't challenge for kicking. The replay, it clearly showed a kicking motion, and Cousins kicked it into the net and even looked at the referee after he scored because, like, he was like, oh, did you see that? Is that not going to be a goal? But I just can't believe that there was even an attempt to say, yeah, that's a good goal. Like, what circumstances do they have that allow a goal like that to be produced? Sure, the referee didn't see it be made or whatever, but does that not mean that when the team is reviewing it, when the league and the officials are viewing the goal from multiple angles, they're not allowed to overturn it because of something else that was outside the claim that they made, which was goalie interference? That was clearly a kicking motion, and anybody who would have seen that from that angle during the game would have called it off. Man, absolutely crazy play. Ultimately, it's a goal that supports the Coyotes' victory in this one, and I don't feel good about it, but at the same time, I did say that this game was pretty good overall as an entertainment vessel. It just, man, gave me a really sour taste. But Nikolai Goldolbin is also someone I wanted to talk about. He looked fantastic in this game, at least when he was in the offensive zone and on the power play. He had so many good chances. He deserved a goal. Like, straight up, Goldolbin deserved a goal in this one, maybe two. fantastic opportunities there. And the Vancouver Canucks like to pass things off on the power play around the perimeter. And once in a while, when they're trying to look for the goal, they send it through the slot over to the man on the far side. They did that to Goldolbin several times in this game, and each time, Goldolbin had a chance. They all could have been goals, but none of them were. There was one where he almost deked the pants out of Kemper, but it kind of went off to the side. There was another one where he almost sniped it, but it was barely saved. He had so many great looks, and it was awesome to see. But overall, Nikolai Goldolbin just wasn't having the luck here. He also had a really good rush that could have been called as a penalty, because he got, tripped out afterwards, but it wasn't. Honestly, Goldolbin was just so impressive in this one. Brock Boeser looked really good too. Sven Baertschi, obviously, he looked fantastic. Bo Horvat was there, but the BBB line is there. And it's incredible to see because I think a lot of us have actually forgotten how good the BBB line was. It was only a year ago, but we're now all focused on one man in Pettersson that we all kind of forgot that Baertschi, Bo, and Boeser have some great chemistry as well. Overall, this was an entertaining game, far more entertaining in the latter half than the first period, but I digress. It was still a great watch. That is, if you were actually able to watch it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video plus that's Troll Gaming, and bye.